right, so we'll get started. Great Barrington Planning Board meeting for Thursday, December 11th, 2025. This meeting is being recorded. Is there anyone else who's recording the meeting tonight?
I mean, record internet.
Okay, all right, thank you. And we will start off with roll call attendance. Pedro Pachano.
Here.
Jonathan Hankin.
Here.
Malcolm Fick.
Here.
Brandy Nelson here. And yeah, we don't have Jeremy yet. He may join us virtually. All right. So we will get underway. We have no Form As today. No Form As. The next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes of October 23rd, 2025 meeting. Do we have a motion to approve as amended?
Excuse me.
Yes.
Before you approve the meeting minutes.
Yes.
Can you please read back to me my statement that I read for the record on October 23rd?
I do not have the minutes in front of me, but if you give me a minute, we can pull them up.
Because I noticed that the meeting wasn't posted.
The meeting wasn't posted
on CTSB. It's not on the town website.
Meaning
The recorded video.
okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know if it was, so hang on one second.
I do know it wasn't.
Okay, all right, I'm not disagreeing with you, I don't know personally. So, Claudia, your question was with regard to the item for the open space and recreation plan at the meeting of October 23rd, 2025. We have in the minutes under that item that Seth Jenkins from BRPC was present to continue discussing the OSRP. Claudia Shapiro, 70 Egremont Plain Road, said the board does not have an OSRP committee and asked if there would be a committee. I said not at this time. You said that you would not be filling out the survey and departed the meeting.
Said Claudia Shapiro, 70 Egremont Plain Road or 78 Egremont Plain Road?
70.
I don't, that's the airport address, Brandy. I live at 78.
I'm sorry, I did not realize
Yeah, so just make sure, I would like you to add inside that I actually stated for the record that I, Claudia Shapiro, 78 Egremont Plain Road, did not fill out the open space recreation plan. I repeated it.
Yep.
And I asked if the town had a open space recreation plan committee.
Yep.
And I was told no.
Correct.
I asked if you were going to have one and I was told no.
Correct.
Except for at that meeting, I went out and I listened to it via Zoom in the hallway, and this is also for the record, Brandy, for today's meeting, that there's actually 2 sheets inside there. And I guess I might as well just read what they say. And maybe I didn't quite have the terminology right. But so one of them is the timeline of the process. And the timeline of the process, August, initial meeting of the steering committee / planning board. The open space recreation plan development process. Berkshire Regional Planning Commission and Committee will conduct stakeholder interviews. Committee meets monthly to develop survey, discuss each section, and write the plan. Committee holds public meetings, kick off the plan, discuss survey findings, and review final draft. Berkshire Regional Planning Commission and Committee submits final report to state in May 2026. So I had asked to be on the committee. I was told there wasn't a committee. I don't believe that there isn't a committee. And I'm asking, did you have an official kickoff July 4th with staff and consultants as your consultants?
I don't have the dates, the exact dates of our timeline, so I won't be able to answer that specifically.
So you can't tell me whether on July 4th you had
Claudia,
an official kickoff. Just asking a question, Brandy.
Yeah, we did have a kickoff meeting. The exact date I don't recall off the top of my head, but we did have a kickoff meeting.
Okay.
And this planning board this planning, no, I'm sure it was not July 4th because that's a holiday. So I am sure it was not July 4th.
I have to record a video where Chris actually stated it was gonna be on July 4th, and that's exactly what he stated.
So I am not sure if that's accurate, but, is there, what,
I
do you,
agree.
may I ask you?
Yes.
What are you concerned with? Because you've,
I'm concerned about, honestly, every word that comes out of my mouth gets doctored, edited, and I want to make sure that my statement, Brandy, is very simple. Is complete and in the meeting minutes, and I don't want them taken out or rearranged after anything else.
so meeting minutes are not a transcript. I just want to be clear about that for the record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So.
All right, so I don't,
Could we amend it from 70 to 78?
we can amend the minutes to correct the address to
Okay.
Ms. Shapiro's correct address. Okay, so do we have a motion to approve as amended and amended?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Malcolm.
I would really prefer to be really explicit to exactly what I said.
We are not writing a transcript.
That's fine,
We are not writing a transcript.
perfectly fine.
And so do we have any further discussion on the matter by the board? Hearing no further discussion, how do you vote? Aye. Any opposed? Oh, you want to abstain, Pedro?
Okay.
Jeremy's in.
Ah, Jeremy, I'm sorry, I would have done roll call. I apologize. How do you vote?
That's okay. Aye.
Aye, okay. So we'll record that it was Jonathan, Malcolm, Jeremy, and me were aye. All right, excellent. So that's for the minutes. All right, so then next item on our agenda is a special permit for a public hearing for 53 Van Duzenville Road. We understand that the applicant has requested that this hearing be postponed to our meeting of January 8th, 2026. That being the case, I'll entertain a motion to vote to postpone the public hearing to January 8th, 2026 at 6 p.m. at Town Hall.
A question on that.
Yes.
Do we have to open the public hearing to do that, or can we just do it?
You can just do it.
Okay, all right, I'm fine.
Okay, does someone want to move that?
So moved.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Second that.
Thank you, Jonathan. We'll do roll call then. Pedro?
Aye.
Jonathan?
All right.
Malcolm?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
Brandy? Aye. Okay, thank you all. Okay. Next item on our agenda is the discussion of the open space and recreation plan. If we have BRPC represented here online.
Right here.
Oh,
Just got here.
sorry, you snuck in.
After you started.
That was right. We were expecting you.
You were in
virtually.
disguise. Giant hat. Oh, I mentioned to Chris that I would be here, so.
Oh, okay. Apologize. I was
That's
looking for
okay.
you online.
Should I sit here? Is that?
Wherever you wish.
So I think in your meeting packet, you have a letter that I sent to Chris.
Just to remind everybody.
Seth Jenkins, BRPC, working with the town on updating the open space and recreation plan.
Thank you.
So there's a letter that I sent to Chris that included some agenda topics and also the slideshow of the survey results. Chris, I don't know, are you sharing your screen or if you,
Do that.
we can, however you wanna, I'm not in the meeting, so. Like to talk a little bit about the demographic information in the slides, limitations on. You know, drawing too many conclusions from the survey just based on the serving size. I mean, you did have a good response rate of 437 responses, which is, you know, a few more than the 2013 survey or 2019 survey and the 2013 survey. But it's still a fraction of the 10, right? So we like to preface discussion at the public forum of that fact. And also, we did hear a lot from the climbing community. We had sent the,
There's a lot of
the
that.
information to the Western Mass Climbers Coalition. They turned out en masse to respond to the survey. That might skew the data a little bit. I think it's good to include all of the survey information in presenting to the public. It might be helpful to sometimes say, we've removed this group to show what we heard, or maybe to select in on a certain group. You could choose a specific age group and say, this is what we heard from, youth. This is what we heard from older groups. You could also choose to filter the results by visitors to the town or permanent residents. So those are some ways that you can interpret the data through SurveyMonkey. It's sort of on the purview of the board to decide how you want to filter that data. Certainly those would be things that you could send to Chris and we could produce those graphs. Questions there. I mean, you're always going to have missing groups, although we did have the map and the neighborhood analysis, and it seemed like it was from a good spread of the town. It didn't seem like there were any groups in particular that were overtly missing. But
Do we want to advance a slide on, yeah.
you and I guess the other factor that I would say is there's always, with a limited time frame survey like this, you're always going to have I didn't know about it, I didn't hear about the survey, I wish I could have responded, and we wish we could hear from everyone, but we have to set time limits on it, and the follow-up events provide folks with an opportunity to have their voices heard, so we encourage people to attend those. People did leave their email addresses as part of the survey, so we will send an email blast out to those folks, alerting them to the proposed public forum. It's kind of out of order, but it's might be worth mentioning now that Chris and I have talked about and reserved space in the library for Saturday, January 10th, starting at 10 o'clock. Well, we've reserved a large part of the day. We wanted to talk to you about when would be the best time to do it. We have, I think, from 10 to 3 reserved. And then our discussion has been that we would produce some flyers and publicity material, and then he and I would coordinate on the presentation.
Okay.
Send it to you all for review on your own sometime around January 2nd, and that gives you some time to look at it. It'd just be a slide deck. And then, if you have specific comments, you can reach out to either him or myself with those comments. So
in terms of, yeah.
Is it possible? I can't read the gray letters.
So it says at the top, so this is what's your residency status? This is from the OSRP survey. It says year-round resident 55.4%, and then weekend resident 1.61%. Seasonal resident 2.99%. It's just light colored and hard to see, that's all. I work in Great Barrington but don't live here, 7.36%, and visitor 32.64%.
Wow.
I assume the visitor was bumped up because so many of the climbers
I think they probably
are coming from elsewhere, but anyway, so
because it was about a third, it seemed like they were from the climbing community.
Yeah,
So
okay.
the neighborhood results are on
Yeah.
question 2.
So the survey had a map with regions, geographic regions throughout the town, which are the areas A through L on the screen here. And so you could pick as this question, which neighborhood you're in, just to try and get some sense of, if the commenters from Housatonic, are they from, over on East Street?
Visitors.
Yeah.
In tonight's packet, if this doesn't read well on the screen, if you're here, it's.
And it will also be part of the presentation that we're gonna do in January. So, and we will enlarge the text and make it a little darker. So, we don't need to agonize over the whole thing. I mean, it's a lot of slides. We're gonna do it at the later meeting. But I wanted to provide it to you so you could be thinking about it and get those ideas to Chris.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
also to think about Seth's initial questions or points to you. Are there ways you'd like to see the data differently?
Yeah.
Would you like to see just what, certain age groups, how they responded, or just how, or scrub out the visitor responses and see how full-time residents responded?
Mhm.
So we have time to do that. That's for discussion tonight.
Mhm.
So that we can run those graphs for
Mhm.
further analysis.
And I think the way we might present it would be to put those slides consecutively so that you say, here's what we heard in the whole survey. Here's what we heard when we removed visitors to the town.
Mhm.
Here's what we heard from youth population, senior population. But not every slide, you won't be able to do that for every slide, but some of the key slides, I
Mhm.
think might be helpful to look at that.
What percentage of the visitors were rock climbers?
We'll check.
Yeah, that, I'm gonna guess a lot.
Yeah.
Me too.
But I think that there were other, Butternut publicized it, we tried to cast a wide net, so.
Yeah.
Rock climbing wasn't a particularly popular, it's up there in the upper half, but
Mhm.
it wasn't in the top.
Right.
On the, well, yeah.
How often do your family
Yeah,
participate?
participate in those activities.
Yeah,
I
do
think
you
it
mind
was,
flipping to that slide?
well, Chris is controlling.
Chris is controlling. Chris, can you
can
go to slide 4? I think?
These were the
It's question 9.
ages of the household. I'll
Yeah.
just narrate as we go along.
Sometimes, just quickly, sometimes it's helpful to see both the table and the graph. Sometimes it's redundant. A lot of them I removed the tables, but sometimes it is helpful. And we can talk about a later slide, ways that you can show the information in different ways.
I looked at some of the slides here to see, how do these percentages that we received in terms of like where the annual household incomes are, where the age of respondents are, does that square with what
The town?
the town is
Mhm.
demographically? And yeah, so it's,
Oh, it does really?
in these respects, it's fairly not a lot of people responded.
Right,
Is it representative?
seems to be.
It's not a skew that only certain age groups or only certain income groups responded. It
Okay,
seemed
that's good.
Yeah, it seems
relatively,
like all the neighborhoods.
relatively
Yeah.
broad on a number of factors.
Income, age,
Mhm.
yeah.
And age. We did get some Spanish language, some surveys returned all in Spanish, which was nice to see, not a lot,
Yeah.
but good that we had some additional outreach there. Languages spoken, you rent or own, again, this is relatively representative, it's a 70-30 split generally, rent and own in GP.
And there was also a prefer not to answer, which we figure is gonna catch some of both of those groups, but, gives you a little bit of wiggle room.
So this was,
Rock climbing is right up there.
yeah.
I was looking at the
suggestion
next
7, choose, so how many people chose East Mountain and the State Forest, which is where the most popular cliffs are. So that particular one is up there at 40%.
Mhm. Yeah.
40% of the people chose that as one of the top 5. It's pretty representative, but you see in general, the lake, the State Forest. I was looking at these and I was thinking, most of these in the 9 to 10% and above, you might think of are almost regional or sub-regional destinations. Lake Mansfield draws a lot of people from elsewhere. Beartown, Ski Butternut, Flag Rock and Monument draw people from elsewhere.
Yeah.
And when you get kind of below that 9-10%, you're getting to more popular, maybe more local spots.
This is where a slice
Housatonic
of
Park,
residents.
Right.
Old
Might
Maid.
show some
Yeah,
disparity.
Eagle
people
Park.
don't drive to Old Maids.
Right, but it's popular in that
Sure,
neighborhood.
absolutely.
So it's interesting to see how those fall out.
And these are in Excel files, so you could dig into this information later on and say,
Yeah.
what are the corollaries between the neighborhoods and what we heard?
Okay.
Do you want to take questions?
Yeah, I will take a question, sure. James? Go ahead.
It's James, 84 North Plain Road. Just one quick comment. I was confused that Flag Rock was included twice when I did the survey, and I see it here twice. That's my only comment.
did. Yeah, thanks, James. We did see that mistake also. Eileen has a question.
Eileen, go ahead.
Can you be sure when you look at, for instance, that people go to East Mountain State Forest, are those occasional visitors here? Are you getting full-time residents responding to?
We can try to,
Wondering how to evaluate the responses.
yeah, we can try to correlate those. Thanks, Eileen. Let's see. Somebody had a question we're trying to get to a specific slide.
Well, it was Malcolm's question
Yeah,
about rock
question
climbing.
on
I
it.
think it
Actually,
nailed
you
itself in
forget.
the preceding question.
Get my comment, because
Yeah.
rock climbing is way up at the top,
Way up,
except
way
for
up.
one slide.
But it would be interesting if we had that particular table run again just for residents.
Yes.
Right,
And
and I
for
think
non-residents.
it would be useful to run it
Yeah.
both for a resident scenario and for a visitor work
Right.
here scenario.
What I could do is run the whole survey
Mhm,
for those
those
categories.
two categories,
Yeah, so
yeah,
you said visitor and
Residents and non-residents,
yeah.
everybody
I think
else.
that's all it is
Yeah.
residents and
you
non-residents.
want to have them. So maybe three, one of the entirety, one with just non-residents, one with just residents.
Yes.
That would be good.
Does that sound all right to you guys? Yeah, okay. Okay.
I'll just sort of skip ahead this is frequency.
Yeah, and that's the one I was looking at, where rock climbing is tied with yoga.
Yeah. Yoga at Lake Mansfield is really popular.
So again, the green is daily activity, the kind of dark yellow is weekly. And then over to the right of the screen, the red is never. So almost all respondents hike and walk, and then I think
Very few hunt
very
and
few
trap.
hunt and trap. Some do.
Yeah.
Or snowmobile.
Well,
They're not hunting and trapping daily,
Right,
which would be very unusual.
so, and one thing I'll.
And also out of season.
Yes, exactly, good point.
So each one of these has to be organized based on the category. So this one is organized from greatest to least in the daily activities.
Okay.
You could also choose to display this based on what people never do, from least to greatest or from greatest to least. And it would appear differently, right? Because you can see those red bars are differently. You would either stair step down or stair step up, which is another way to look at these. So Chris, if you'll cycle to the next slide, which I think is the table. Oh, no, maybe I didn't include the table there.
I guess not.
Okay, on some of these where you're showing multiple different things on the same slide, it can be helpful to say, what are we wanting to show here and what presents that most effectively? Is it daily activities or is it what people do the least often?
Mhm.
And that's, again, something that you have to give me some feedback about how you wanna structure these slides.
Mhm.
You could probably look at that, choose your top 5 places question in the same way. How many people ranked this as the top, or,
You could flip it and see the least chosen items.
right.
I think it's generally on these ones where you're displaying high preference, medium preference, low preference,
Mhm.
or something that you do, with frequency or.
Yeah.
Move ahead.
Sure.
Any surprises, like anything here from other OSRPs that
What do you think?
I'm honestly surprised, like snowmobiling and ATVs was so never. Cause
It's actually it's interesting because if I wasn't going to your meeting, I would be at the Snowdrifters in Adams meeting tonight.
Okay.
Because Adams is also undergoing an OSRP.
yeah,
And what I would say about that is that in North County, the snowmobile clubs are much more active and the trail networks are much more robust.
Mhm.
I was looking at the South County and really it's just Beartown. Now, I'm sure there are some snowmobilers
Yeah,
in Great Barrington that go to Beartown, but it's not nearly as interconnected as it is in North County.
Interesting.
Sun Network
On the
back
farms.
in, is that informal? There's not a trail.
No, I'm saying,
Is there a
Well,
snowmobile?
the Knox Trail group, but they may, you know, this is. How often do you do it in Great Barrington?
Right.
And so maybe it's more on the Monterey side of Beartown or, so maybe it's not associated with it.
I was
it
thinking,
just
The
seems,
Knox Trail, yeah.
I don't think it's organized, but I do see snowmobiling, but it's typically on farmland.
yeah, well, I don't know how it is in Massachusetts. I guess it'd be worth finding out, but
Did snowmobilers hear about the survey?
I don't know. It's a good question. Yeah.
Apparently not.
Mm.
Yeah, if something jumps out, like somebody's active, but it's not reflected here,
Mhm.
obviously that's a group we need to do better outreach to,
Mhm.
a demographic or an interest group. So consider those
The
sorts of.
climbers we reached.
The climbers.
No,
So
the
maybe
hunters we did not.
perhaps it would be good to reach
Yeah.
to the sportsman club
Yeah.
and just see.
One way that you might be able, I mean, we could have a focus group, we could also do an event at one of their spaces if, we're trying to do something.
Yeah, yeah. Let me think about who I know there.
I think field sports road is interesting too. A lot of people, a lot of the respondents never do it. So that just goes to show about programming, I guess. Or spaces to do those types of activities.
I would say in some stakeholder interviews, I heard from one or two people that talked about a sport or a court soccer game called futsal. That there seemed to be some interest in creating a futsal league in the town.
Mhm.
It was popular with a lot of soccer players. I guess there's a fair amount of soccer players in town.
I don't see pickleball on there.
Yeah, it's on the court sports.
Is it?
Oh, yeah, court sports, okay.
It
feels so.
Kind of high too. Especially given how popular pickleball's gotten. It's more of a high that there's so many nevers of.
But I mean, 40% of the people say they do it.
Occasionally.
That's the rock
Yeah.
climbers. They're out rock climbing. They never. Yeah, that's interesting. There's a lot of occasions.
But 40% out of 400, I mean, that's
Well,
a
so
good number.
that's the other thing. It might be useful to run this table again, just with residents, or are you thinking you'll run all the data sets again? rather than residents?
So I'll produce the visitor resident comparison tables
Okay.
of each of the slides
Yep.
and you'll be able to
Okay.
look at it. Now that'll be
'Cause that
a
Would be helpful.
significant document, right? Cause this is 30 slides, so
Right.
it'll all of a sudden become 90 slides. So just keep that in mind.
Caution.
Yeah, cautionary, but
I mean, when you look at the table, there's a lot of red up there. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that are not doing anything.
Well, they're not doing everything.
just about everybody is hiking and walking.
Everybody's hiking.
Right, everybody is hiking and walking.
Except for hiking and walking.
Lazy. Are you one of those?
They're not,
I would be on the cycling one.
they're not doing everything. Is Eileen still cleared to talk?
Or that and happen.
Eileen, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that wouldn't it be helpful to know what the tourists, occasional visitors, whatever, like, because it could indicate areas in which the town or people might develop an industry of sorts.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna run all the data for residents and non-residents.
Good.
Another thing that I'll point out, is if you look underneath the question, text, you can see there's answered 433, skipped 4,
Mm-hmm,
right? Not everyone answered every question.
mm-hmm,
Something to keep in mind, some questions were skipped by a lot of people,
mm-hmm.
which sort of decreases, again, how much you can infer from that.
Mhm.
But And I guess a reminder, all of these should be taken with a grain of salt, right? It's a snapshot.
This next one is, how'd you rate each of the following in your neighborhood? So 58 skipped. And maybe those are visitors who don't have a quote neighborhood, so
Yeah.
maybe they skipped it, but.
And do you mind just reading down through the categories if folks can't read that?
Ability to visit a park with a quiet natural setting, ability to walk for leisure or exercise, quality of town-owned parks and playgrounds, ability to walk to a park or playground, ability for you or your children to participate in a sports or exercise program, and ability to bike for leisure, exercise, or transit. I'm trying to remember what this is. I actually can't figure out what this is organized on, because it's not on either very poor or very good, because it would appear differently. So I would have to look at the data to see how this has been. Because you have to, each one of these has to be sequenced based on one of those columns in their Excel files.
Yeah. Okay.
So Chris, I guess this one would show where areas in town are lacking in parks and other recreational.
In a
parts of
particular
town.
neighborhood.
So I think
yeah.
I don't know if you could map this, that would be interesting.
Yeah, this would be
interesting by neighborhood, huh?
See which neighborhood,
Yeah.
how neighborhoods answered this specific question.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be true.
In the last, it was either the master plan or open space plan, we were observing that most areas of town are within an easy walk of a green space of some kind.
Mhm.
How, the quality of that is something that we could discuss, but that was an interesting finding, that whether it was a swimming hole or the state park or a neighborhood park, it was interesting. So this kind of bears that out, ability to visit a park. I think there's probably a lot of improvements that can be made in terms of quality, maybe safety of biking and walking.
Mhm.
Yeah. But my neighborhood would be an interesting date.
Yeah.
I'll try and schedule a meeting with Chris, and maybe he and I can
Sure. We'll make
manipulate this slide a
some
little
notes
bit
a little.
and see if we can draw down a little bit on it.
This was improvements, bathrooms.
Maybe this one and a couple of these slides you could look at by neighborhood and see if
Mhm.
there's any standout.
Yeah, that would be
Lots
awesome.
skipped this one. For some reason.
Yeah.
Again, visitors probably didn't answer this.
Mhm.
In fact, people left in the comments, sometimes I noticed that I don't feel comfortable answering this because I'm a visitor to the town.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
I wonder what people think about, or what people think better parking means.
The subject near and dear to your heart.
It's likely a parking that's near the recreational area you're going to.
That's better. Yeah.
That's likely what they're thinking, I think, counting.
Like more convenient, you mean? Like,
Are there
Or-
particularly problematic fields though? I mean, in other communities, I can think of, sometimes the Little League fields become just congested and problems with traffic, that people might say, oh, this is a problem.
Memorial Field parking.
Memorial Field has really none.
no
Yeah,
parking.
exactly.
Memorial Field has no parking, and Olympia Meadows has parking, but if there's softball and 2 baseball games going, it's very congested down there,
Monument,
especially
on a
when
busy
Thanksgiving.
day.
Monument,
Yeah.
Flag
It-
Rock.
Remind me, you have to pay to park.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
but
it's
if you
still
go to the
closed over
Flag Rock
time.
side, has got a lot.
For the rock climbers on East Mountain, there is no park.
Yeah.
It's just sort
Park on the
of
street?
be nice on the street. Yeah,
Green River
That's parking,
swimming.
isn't it?
it is, but it's not better park. Yeah.
We used to go hiking with somebody who, if they couldn't find parking, they wouldn't hike, or they would complain that they would have to walk.
So.
I guess that's.
Barriers of concern, so this is just the same data in a different format.
Yeah, and actually, I'm realizing, I think I like this better when all of it is on one bar. You can set the graphs up two ways, right? You can have them stacked or you can have them like this.
Okay,
And it's just a preference. Some people like to see it one way, some people like it the other.
yeah.
Well, visually, I think the stacked looks, I mean, you can compare things easier with the stack.
You,
but-
I was gonna ask you if you find it more intuitive to interpret.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I can look for the reds or look for the blues and
Yeah.
compare them more easily.
Well, so this one, it would seem is organized based on
High to
high,
low,
Yeah.
yeah,
from high
Right,
concern, so parking is the most salient one.
I mean, I
parking.
have to bring this up, when we look at the parking statistic, we're all thinking that we need more parking and whatever. But why aren't we thinking that maybe what we need is better organization of the town in general, so that people can bike and walk in
Yeah.
many more places?
Yeah.
And safety.
And safety of biking one.
May I?
Yeah,
Michelle Laverne, 70 Division Street. I don't know who brought up safety because, for me, I can't run anymore, but cycling and walking, it's a safety issue.
Mhm.
Where I live, it's just not safe. As a matter of fact, my husband and I will come into town
mhm,
and walk in town, or I'll walk in Lennox,
Mm.
where I work. So I got run off the road on Van Newsville Road
Mhm.
cycling. And
Yeah.
fortunately, you know, a car was.
We only bike on rail trails anymore.
Yeah.
It's worth your life to-
It has changed dramatically because I was a 40-year runner.
Mhm.
Since when I started and now,
Mhm.
it's just not safe.
Okay.
Pedro, I know you cycle. I don't know how you feel about that. So safety is something that needs to be looked at. What
Mhm.
can we do to make it safer for these activities?
Yeah.
So other than, I may respond, no, I don't walk. Because, and the reason for it is because I don't feel safe doing so.
Mhm.
So,
It's actually another way to slice this data may be, like these factors here against the activity. So, what activities have lack of parking, have safety concerns? What activities have, lack of information about them?
We're gonna need a team of.
Data
We're
scientist.
up to 120 pages.
I will reiterate that I've heard from a number of individuals about concerns with safety. Both in specific spots, I heard at the Council on Aging from folks about crosswalk on this, and I'm sorry, I don't know the name of the streets, but down by Guido's. Concerns about sidewalk connectivity down there, concerns about the condition of the sidewalk and using, mobility assisted devices on those. And then also from folks from the Land Trust, or Land Conservancy about the railroad overpass on the north side of town and connecting pedestrians. So those were two places that people mentioned safety
You're not supposed
concerns
to
with.
go underneath that. You should go down Welcome Street.
Yeah,
and
there's a
then
little neighborhood there you can cut
down to
through.
Pearl and George.
Well, and again, it's maybe a question of, helping people to find
Yeah, put routes
the
together.
appropriate places.
but it's
Yeah.
traffic speed too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You still have to cross the roads.
and I don't remember from the accessibility study that we just did. There is a section on parks, so we could cross-check that also, right? Yeah, go ahead.
So this is asking about specific demographic groups, so you've got teens, people with disabilities, elderly, pets, children, adults. And I believe this is organized based on no, so the greatest no responses to the least, so people felt like, more, recreational programs and facilities were needed for teens, people with disabilities, the elderly, pets, children, and adults in that order. And it pretty much overlaps with the yes column, right? But you can see that there's a little bit of difference, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people said that yes was leased for people with disabilities. So there's, not only are people saying no, but the fewest people are saying that yes, those facilities are adequate.
That was a big don't know through that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that said don't know.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And we did try and reach out to some disability advocacy organizations or outdoor advocacy organizations to help them publicize. Hopefully they did publicize. I spoke with a couple different organizations.
Families Like Us.
Yes, and a group in Amherst, Northampton that has like assistive technology that they provide people.
Okay.
Beach wheelchairs or rail trails, assistive technology.
Let's just see.
But there you can see, again, if you look at the table, sometimes you can interpret more information from, looking at those
Mhm.
numbers. So whether you're a visual person or a math person and like to see the numbers compared.
You did a weighted average on here, Seth. What does that represent?
That's set up by SurveyMonkey. I can remove that. I don't think it's necessarily relevant. Those are just built into the table. I think removing the.
Okay.
It's interesting, the total is the total number of responses to that particular question.
Yes.
Okay.
I can see a lot of don't knows to that question. I mean, if you're not in that group,
Yeah.
it's hard to know.
Another thing that I will add as I'm looking at this, you can add the data labels on the graph so you can see the numbers.
Okay.
Those I haven't done that yet, but that's something.
Or at least some vertical bars too.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like being able to see the number.
Great.
But if you want to add the.
Whichever.
And not every graph does make sense, but on some of them it
So
does.
what you mean to say here is like nature program, it looks like it's about 50%. So there would
Yeah,
be a
it's like
50.
It would, at the end of it would say 42.6%.
Okay.
Other specify would be 31%. I'm gonna guess that's skewed by the climbers.
And the other specify, we just cross-reference that to the comments then?
Yeah, so that's
okay.
that other Word
Yeah.
file that's at the end of
Yeah.
that's a 50-page
Yeah.
of comments.
Yeah.
Those are all of the open response
Okay,
answers that we got.
okay.
So, yeah, people were able to leave what they were specifically talking about with other.
What does everybody think when you say nature programs? What does that mean to
I
you?
Like bird walks or,
Like a guided sort of thing?
yeah.
Okay. That
I think it
seems,
could be yoga at like Mansfield, or it could also be.
Yeah,
okay,
it's a little imprecise.
okay. More nature programs.
Yeah, sure.
Best use of funding.
So this one is a weighted or because people were able to choose between
Mm-hmm,
lowest and highest.
yeah,
In fact, this is a static image. This is one of the few graphs that SurveyMonkey just gives you a PDF and you really don't
can't
have
do
the
anything
Excel
with it.
file. You can't really do anything with it. You just have that.
mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting that the top two are about transportation. And I don't know if they're, like, is this purely recreation, right? Open space and recreation plan, but these seem like how we move in the community.
That gets to what Michelle.
Exactly, yeah, yeah,
Safety and connection
Right.
between the spaces.
right.
Maybe.
What's happening to the sports?
Rolling along.
We like them, we don't want to spend any money on
I don't know if people think like it's already provided, like for the kids, it's provided mostly through the schools. So,
So the school does that, town should put its money on something else.
I mean, the
Maybe.
new school's gonna have new facilities, right? And those facilities are available.
I would also.
Yeah,
Can I ask a question?
yes, please.
A while back, there was some thought about, I think maybe before the last master plan, that the road, that then Dusenville might be a really good bike path, but of course, we didn't own the railroad tracks or anything like that, but is there any movement in kind of moving that any further? Because I was thinking that would be a nice long.
You have to clean it up first. Get the permits.
Yeah, exactly.
So my understanding is if, there is the Housatonic Rail Trail that runs from the Marigas property at its intersection with Van Duzenville Road up to the West Stockbridge town line, or even into West Stockbridge of the North Pixley Hill turnaround. But I'm not aware, Chris, and maybe you're aware that Van Duzenville, I don't know that there's an extra right of way there where.
No, if I recall correctly, and that was maybe 10, 15 years ago,
Yeah.
and the right of way was relatively narrow. And the jog with the railroad track did present some problems, but,
And there's industrial traffic on there.
there is, and then, there was a bike path study done. I wanna say 8 or 10 years ago that tried to look at both on-road and off-road routes to connect the village with downtown GB. And it looked at power lines, it looked at the railroad, putting a rail with trail, as they say, but there's not enough room there. And, none of the roads really had enough right of way except Park Street 183, which now is what we're actually looking at, potentially, increasing the width or putting a separated sidewalk or bike path there. That's like very early design now, but, yeah, some areas didn't lend themselves to additional space, but, maybe traffic calming could help that a little bit,
Yeah.
could mitigate that, you know.
Yeah,
if we have-
seems like it would be kind of a road well traveled.
Yeah, some spaces are only for really like, I don't know. Extra confident, or careless cyclists, so, confident or careless.
Confident.
It is.
Do
Yeah,
we have any idea what the right to the railroad is? From like Park Street all the way down to Division?
the rights of the
I
railroad,
mean, the right of way, or?
we have the right of way map, yeah.
Yeah, but what rights does the railroad have?
Well, Mass DOT owns it as a railroad, as an active freight railroad. So what do you mean?
But how much space either side of the railroad? The Railroad Act gives them between 6 to 8 feet either side of the center line of the railroad. What I've read. If you get down to the intersection with Division Street, there's a lot of use there by the railroad.
Yeah, some of those I think might, yes, some of those might actually be separate parcels. In some areas, like downtown here and in Van Duzenville, there were buildings there were stations there. They've just become more or less abandoned parcels. They're not part of the right of way necessarily, but they're still owned
But they're privately owned,
by the railroad.
owned by the railroad.
Yeah, I believe so.
Huh, 'cause when I look at those lots, they don't look like they're owned by the railroad.
Yeah.
That's another
Right up-
topic.
Historically, growing up where I grew up, and my uncle who's 89 lives next door to me, and he can tell you this, that you're talking about a bike path, that in the Division Street neighborhood, Van Duzenville neighborhood, North Plain neighborhoods were filled with kids. That was the route kids took
Mhm.
back and forth all day long, up and down. Of course, that's before garbage trucks.
Yeah.
Gravel trucks, salvage yards, so some of this is on the town of Great Barrington they're planning. So, and not this board, but previous boards. But you would be hard pressed not to see kids running, biking up and down that, and adults as well. A lot of people would walk up to Housatonic.
Mhm.
If you're in good shape, it's not that far
Mhm.
to walk up Van Duzenville Road. So this is where we are, and something we're trying to put back, the town took it away. So I have my personal feelings, as Pedro knows, so.
Okay,
Let's see, this is the. I don't know if you want to dwell on that.
No, yeah, that just shows how
the
the
graph, yeah,
graph was.
the data.
Yeah,
for
the
that.
data that
Mhm.
No support for.
And that's organized strongest support, I believe. So the categories from top to bottom: protect scenic areas, maintain wildlife habitat and travel corridors, protect farmland and local food resources, create new public recreation areas, expand existing parks, conservation areas, and improved access to rivers and streams in the town.
Oops, there was just a thing. Somebody have a hand up. Ivy. Hold on.
Okay, previous slide. I wondered if there were any reason to have a negative votes against expand existing parks and conservation areas and improved access to rivers and streams. I can understand create new opposition to create new public recreation areas because of cost, but that's my assumption. And the others, I don't know
Why people wouldn't want that?
precisely. What would they say opposed? I'm just curious, maybe it will come
Yeah.
out on the January session.
Possibly,
And it's possible that some of these things can't necessarily be explained by, it's just showing the data.
Or
Right.
absent anything
Yeah,
else, we all support these in principle, so maybe it's not a useful question. I don't know.
or
Well,
people,
I mean, if it is showing that there is this pocket of opposition, then it's excellent to get it out in public,
Mhm.
to be aware of it. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Going back a couple slides to the recreation facilities and the question of, why maybe fields and courts weren't higher on that list. I think sometimes people assume that those facilities already exist, and maybe they want to prioritize
other things.
recreation, things that are new amenities.
Mhm.
Again, we can try and interpret the data, but we might be just
Mhm.
making assumptions. So I think it's good to look at it and say, why does it show this way? But it also, some of it might be unexplainable.
Mhm.
And what questions should we have asked and should we talk more about in the future? Safety, connections.
Mhm.
So some things aren't here at all yet.
Mhm.
So this is asking preferences for conservation practices, private property. Again, I don't know if we need to, but this shows the data call outs here.
Yep.
So, and again, we'll spend more time at the presentation talking about what some of the salient points are, but at some. Oh, you switch slides.
Sorry.
So this one is prioritizing conservation, town conservation funding. Not surprising that protecting drinking water would be a high priority.
I thought this was interesting because they're kind of like all high priorities, right? Protecting drinking water isn't tremendously higher than preserving wildlife corridors, or preserving open space, preserving farmland, there's maybe a
The
point.
town doesn't have that many residents.
What do you mean?
But they're all showing up as
Important.
important.
Yeah, yeah.
And I guess we would expect that, right? I mean, everyone is for supporting bird and wildlife viewing. It's just the lowest priority of these priorities, right?
Yeah.
There's other things that people are rating higher, but that doesn't mean that that's not a priority.
Okay.
How do you define open space?
I know, I was just thinking the same thing.
It's a very amorphous thing, right? I mean, it is, it's
The intro.
agricultural land, and it's state park land, and it's town park land, and it's
Yeah, people think about it.
conservation land, and it's.
I think of it as things we look at, not necessarily have access to.
Views. Yeah.
This is interesting because the last one aggregates the data, but I think this is more informative for, yes, people rated protect drinking water, the highest priority. But when you look at the next three down, they're all sort of the same in terms of second, third, fourth, right? You
Mhm.
got all in the mid-20s.
Mhm.
So, again, this shows that maybe we shouldn't read too much in, that maybe this is, we just look for what is the most important thing where people say drinking water is very important.
Or it's hard to understand where the line is between
Yes.
preserving wildlife corridors and preserving open space or preserving farmland.
It looks like we need to do a better job of educating people on the importance of birds.
Maybe there could be a nature program about that? Yes.
But it seems like, the important word is funding. It's not like it, think birds are important, but it's like, where should we put our money?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that's, from my point of view, important that people are knowledgeable about, you just don't have water, it's gotta be funded so that it's what,
Yeah,
gives us our essential element.
and protecting drinking water can sometimes be achieved through preserving open space, right?
Wildlife corridors and protecting drinking water
Yeah.
go hand in hand. So this was more for in some ways for us to gather information about who's hearing about the Berkshire Outside website, but also to inform people about it, right? If we're asking a question about it, hopefully people went and looked at it and said, oh, wow, this is a great resource.
Just to remind you, Berkshire Outside is an existing resource where you can go and find parks and recreation areas of all kinds throughout the county, whether you need a place for pets or for kids or with swings or just to walk. It's a fantastic.
I learned about it from Seth when he presented at our meeting, and it is,
Countywide.
Yeah.
So you wanna go to, North Adams one day and figure out what to do with your half hour? With your dog, whatever. So, little plug.
And you can select,
Little plug.
if you're a rock climber, you can select all the sites that host rock climbing. Or if you're a skier, you can look at skiing or pickleball or
Berkshire's outside.
boat launches.
All right.
Yep.
Good information.
Just
Berkshire outside.
not super surprising that social media would be the largest source, but we also, the Eagle and people are using the town website and least, but people are using it. 15% of the people said they use the town's website, so. So here's all of the open response data, and what would be most helpful for you to do would be to go through and select some good quotes or some like really salient things.
here's what I think we should do. We should run it through an AI and have it, no, I'm not kidding.
Yeah, I hear you.
Have it prioritize the comments.
I'm gonna have one of my fellow employees. I don't know if we are allowed to use AI necessarily in
Do it,
the
then.
agency.
We can use
If
it.
you wanted to do it, that's.
It will pull out trends and comments and,
I mean, I was
Yeah.
gonna have one of my coworkers go through and select, repeat things and say, we heard this 20 times now.
well, I guess I'm a little concerned because I did read through the whole list and it does appear that the rock climbers had
They had a set response.
they had several, but they were like repeated over and over and over in almost every response. And so to me, you lose effectiveness by the repetitiveness. It's like, doesn't really apply everywhere to say the same comment over and over.
It allowed us to see
Like a
that the
form
rock
letter.
climbers were prepared with a canned response.
And I think we should reach out to the rock climbers. I think, to the point Eileen made a few minutes ago, we clearly want to understand what visitors are doing when they come to the community, and that's not a space that I had thought of previously. So it's very useful to hear from them.
I'm concerned that the number of rock climbers responding has hidden whatever non-rock climber visitors
Right.
respond.
Yeah.
And that's important to us.
Mhm.
What are the outside visitors who aren't rock climbers you know, what are their interests? What can we do to, encourage more visitors? Who aren't rock climbers.
Well, and like I said, I could generate another set of graphs where we clip out people that said they were selecting rock climbing, and just to compare that data. I think it's
It'd
good.
be interesting to know, how much the responses are skewed.
It'd be interesting to know what percentage of the rock climbers are also residents, right? And so if we select for just residents and we still see rock climbing fairly high, you'd
Uh-huh.
see it's potentially a
That's good.
local interest,
Yeah, we
right?
need to know if rock climbing, we need to know, the numbers on each
Yeah.
side here. But if we slice it by residents and non-residents, then rock climbing is it's gonna filter to the top
Mhm.
or not.
Eileen had an interesting point though, too, you know, there are a lot of questions to ask, even question of what could be an opportunity for, I don't know, some kind of market. You know,
Mhm.
maybe everybody wants to come here to rock climb a mountain bike.
You know,
It's a great way to attract people. Yeah.
When I hear from rock climbers, you know, this is a good area. And we don't promote it. It's not even, I don't think it's even legal, is it, to
It's,
climb on the boulders there?
rock climbing, well, the access is on private property, so
Yeah.
it's not openly promoted, but rock climbers say without any hyperbole that it is world class.
Yeah.
World class rock climbing, yeah. So
Well, what do
it's-
we need to do to, you know, to take advantage of that?
Yeah.
Oh, Eileen has her hand raised again. Eileen, did you want to add something else?
No, I have a question. When people say rock climbing, do you basically mean climbing a mountain?
Just the face.
You're in the spot on the fire protection land, I think, is bouldering, which are independent boulders where you're really climbing maybe 15 feet and less. And they're just complex problems that they set up because they have overhangs or they have particularly technical routes that the climbers have. So for the most part, there are, I think, a few places where they maybe use protection like top ropes or protection as they climb, but for the most part, I think it's bouldering.
It's like bouldering or vertical cliff climbing,
It's not mountain climbing,
not,
it's not just
If
mountain
that-
climbing.
not just walking.
If I were going to climb on Monument Mountain, could I say that I'm going rock climbing?
No,
No, that's hiking.
it's different,
Okay.
Eileen. It's,
All right, that's
it's,
what I always thought, but I wondered.
There is a rock face north of that,
But we don't.
what you see, but I've never seen
Okay.
any climbers on it.
Thank
it's
you.
using your arms more than just your legs.
Thank you. Okay, got
Hmm.
it. Thanks.
We'll see you on the cliff.
Yeah, Eileen.
Heading up to Flag Rock now.
The board doesn't endorse.
Okay, what else, Seth? What else do you need from us? Thank you.
So Chris and I think it's evident that Chris and I should meet in the next couple weeks. And kind of dig into the data a little more. And then I will send you this slide deck sometime around the beginning of January, and you can provide feedback to either myself or Chris.
Mhm.
And then we'll hold the meeting. We need to schedule a time that
Mhm.
works best for all of you. I think there's rationale for the morning and there's rationale for the afternoon. I think oftentimes people on a Saturday like to get it over with, you know, get an activity, and that way they can do something still in the afternoon, but I can also see for doing something in the afternoon if you prefer.
How does this board feel about a particular time? It's like 10:30, a good time?
Yeah, that would allow me to walk the dog first.
10:30?
And later.
And what are you thinking, like,
I'd say-
a presentation and an hour
45
for
minutes
discussion?
probably to get through all this stuff,
Okay.
and then generally I present this stuff and then you all field questions and you know, you're
Take
the,
input.
the primary interactor with the
Mhm.
audience because you're the town.
And is there anything else that should be done to make the space more interactive, like boards where we're getting people's input on things
We
or?
put on the flyers, so we'll use the Mentimeter
Yeah.
that we've used, so we'll put on the flyers, bring a smartphone.
Okay,
Right now, we don't have devices that we loan out. I don't know if there's, Christie, does the town have any?
Don't, I'll ask the library if they have any tablets that
Okay,
can be used.
yeah, sometimes the library might have something that
Okay.
people could borrow.
and so we're thinking at the library at 10:30 on the 10th.
The time, yep.
10:30 on
Will
the
be a
10th.
presentation of the data and questions, but.
10:30 or 10?
10:30?
10:30.
Should I,
We should have some.
should I bring refreshments?
Yeah, I'll ask
Yeah.
about refreshment,
So it'll be kind of a combination of some of the slides that you've seen before in terms of kind of introducing the concept and why the town is doing it and some of the background.
Yeah.
Some of the existing conditions and then the results of the survey.
Okay.
time for discussion. I mean, I think that is gonna be one of the most fruitful parts of the day is having, you know, we got kind of a snapshot of it here tonight with a
Mhm.
very small group, but
Mhm.
those are the kinds of things that we want to dig into that, you know, one question and answer will lead to another observation and
Mhm.
important thing to study some more. So
Mhm.
looking forward to that. And if you have any thoughts about how differently to interpret the data, get those to me like by Monday,
Mhm.
let's say.
Okay.
So that I can work on it.
Okay. Do you, have you been taking notes or should I? You have been, okay. What
I've
we've
taken
already,
notes as
what
well.
we've already discussed today, you think you have, okay, follow up. Is there any reason we wouldn't want to share the survey result information with the other boards and commissions? Like, is there any problem with that? Like, I was thinking
Not at all. I mean, this is already public.
Concom, parks,
I'll share it with all
yeah.
nonprofit partners and others that we've reached out to already.
Yeah, maybe with a note saying we're gonna have a public session.
I would. And I would just. Ask you to exercise caution not to overload people, right? Because we're gonna ask them to look at the document later on. And I mean, I think it is good to present this, but you wanna be careful about not making people feel like, oh my gosh, I got
See this.
400 pages that I've looked at 3 times. So
Okay,
I just,
I can see that. I would say at minimum, I'd wanna reach out and whether I do it or Christy, when I work together on it, just to let the other boards and commissions know. I know this is a tough time of year because people's brains tend to be more holiday focused, but
We can share just tonight's PowerPoint.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
not the extra data.
Yeah.
Just so people understand, here's what. here's the thing.
it might be better, you know, I would say maybe after we've done this meeting. Cause we'll have the finalized, like you will have vetted and we'll have looked at some of these comparison slides and then. Then we'll have more of a finished product to say, here's kind of after we've learned this information.
if you would rather wait and share the more refined presentation at that point, I still want to reach out to the boards and commissions before the meeting, because what I'm concerned with is you're gonna do all this great work and put together this nice presentation, and we're gonna have 7 people there on
Yeah.
a Saturday morning. I'd like to try and leverage the other boards' interest in this, and maybe they can use their networks to reach out to people too, to try and help with good turnout.
Okay.
And I guess to segue onto that, Chris and I have talked a little bit about some follow-on meetings to kind of get on your radar for possibly February and March. And we've talked about kind of using this meeting kind of as topic-specific focus. One more of an agriculture, maybe it's not this meeting, maybe it's another separate meeting that's agricultural focused with local farms, farm advocacy organizations. To hear from them specifically, and then also possibly from land trusts, So, BNRC, trustees, Great Barrington Land Conservancy, and having kind of a specific event where we're focused on what those groups wanna talk about and also to kind of set up those later conversations so that there can be follow-on work after the plan is done.
Okay, that sounds good. And we want to stick with in January, our second meeting being more OSRP focused.
Right, so your early January meeting, well, obviously special permit for the solar will be
Yeah,
the largest share of that January. January 8th meeting, and then your late. The 10th will be this open space on Saturday, and then your late January meeting will recap. See where we
Yeah,
are.
we'll recap the forum and we'll prepare for one of these two
Stakeholder
follow-on meetings and we'll
Okay.
start talking about the actual
okay,
meat of the document.
that sounds good. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? Jeremy hasn't raised his hand, so
Everybody's rock climbing at
Mm.
10:30.
I hope it's icy out there right now.
Eileen,
No.
on the rock climbing schedule.
Okay. Thank you, Seth.
Mhm.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Great.
All right.
You want me to stick around, we're gonna talk calendar, or do you wanna coordinate by email?
We probably have like only another 20 minutes or so of the meeting because we have a few more items on the agenda.
I can just talk to him. Thank you.
You're welcome to stay. It's fine. We're not trying to rush you out. So next item on the agenda is the seasonal communities discussion.
Right.
So you gave us seasonal communities advisory council.
When we last spoke, and it was at one of the, I think maybe October meetings, we reviewed a draft comment letter from the town to Executive Office of Housing and Livable
Oh,
Communities
Merry Christmas.
You too.
about the seasonal communities program. And the primary comment was, hey, seasonal communities, when you set these regulations and you're talking about housing for specific industries, don't forget there are other industries or other groups that maybe you should focus. So I think at the time, they were saying, well, seasonal communities can prioritize housing for municipal fire departments or police departments or ambulances. But in our case, we have a nonprofit ambulance, so we said, don't forget about the nonprofits. That was really the primary comment. But we were commenting on the draft seasonal communities regulations as a town that is not a seasonal community. Since then, the Secretary of Housing and Livable Communities has designated Great Barrington and some other South County towns as eligible to be designated as a seasonal community, which is a big change from just 2 months ago.
And is that something the town has to vote on, or how does that work?
It is. It would be something that could possibly go to town meeting in May.
Okay.
So we don't need to spend a lot of time talking about seasonal communities tonight, but briefly, and again, the regulations are still being written and not yet finalized at the state level.
This is mainly to promote housing, I assume.
It is, it was originally intended to focus on seasonal communities, meaning those that have the largest swings of population, Cape Cod, the islands, and other towns in Berkshire County that have substantial swings in population, substantial second homes. And Great Barrington didn't fall into that. And it wanted to, the overarching goal was to allow for housing, more housing, different types of housing, more housing opportunities at different income levels, at different area median income levels, for the town to make housing more accessible to the workforce in communities where seasonal residents are driving prices ever high.
Or short-term rentals.
And short-term rentals.
That's how we qualify actually, because of the number of short-term rentals we have at home.
So the state, when it first wrote the law, had very specific guidelines, but left and kind of an opening saying, and the secretary may allow others to be designated, or, you know. And that's what the secretary's done, so, so we're now eligible to be designated.
So if the town were to vote to become a seasonal community, does the state then have to approve it, or is it automatic, or?
It does, so I'll just read briefly what can and what must the seasonal community do. So if the town votes to do this.
Yeah.
Some of the tools under the act include the ability of a seasonal community to acquire year-round housing occupancy restrictions. So again, this is to, you know, not combat, but to weigh against the influence of seasonal rentals in these seasonal communities. Acquire year-round housing occupancy restrictions. Acquire and develop housing with a preference for certain public employees. That's what I already mentioned. Establish year-round housing trusts. We have a housing trust already. Create and preserve year-round housing for individuals or artistic and literary. Allow seasonal communities to develop comprehensive housing needs assessments, which we have, but probably should update. Increase property tax exemptions for homes that are owners' primary residences. So those are some of the tools. In order to avail yourself of those tools, a seasonal community is required to adopt bylaws or zoning ordinance to permit undersized lots to be used for creation of attainable housing. Attainable meaning housing that is affordable to those making up to 250% of the area median income. Wow. So that could open up more housing to people who are firefighters, you know, police officers, you know, public works, you know, ambulance, etc.
Chris, can you say briefly about what undersized lots means?
Well, and R1A zone in Great Barrington requires a 10,000 square foot lot to be a buildable lot. So an undersized lot, let's say, it could be something that's less than that. It could be designated a buildable lot in certain circumstances so that a house could be built there. Right now, that's precluded from being built on as a single building lot. So that's what I believe is the intention of that.
You think people could subdivide to create an undersized lot for this?
I don't know. I don't know yet. That's a good question.
There's still a lot, they're still modifying the regs. They don't have the relationship. They're not.
But I think this is really interesting because in a way, let's say hypothetically that is possible to do in a way. If you're trying to create housing, you can circumvent zoning. Because you'd be allowed to create a lot that doesn't conform. And it would be a legal lot.
I think our zoning has to be modified to allow that for us to be.
Yeah, that may be right. No.
We have 18 months after we adopt it to prove to the Attorney General that we
so,
to the, yeah.
But in any case, it just really quick, just hypothetically, the zoning then would override itself, because that's what we would have to do is put forth something that would say that. Or say that if you're gonna build a house on it, and you're gonna sell it or rent it to somebody earning 250 AMI, then you can circumvent the zoning.
Hopefully this will all make more sense once the regulations are.
Really interesting.
Well, they're also working on sample zoning. I know BRPC and the regional, whatever the regional commission is on the Cape are working together to come up with model bylaws. So that'll
I
happen.
think this is fascinating
It's a change.
because of what it can potentially mean for zoning. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
As Malcolm said, if town meeting says, yes, we want to be a seasonal community, then there's 18 months after that for the town to adopt the zoning that it is required to adopt in order to avail itself of certain tools. So maybe not for tonight, but maybe for the January meeting, February meeting, I think this board should consider the seasonal communities. I'll try to get you as much more information as is available or as becomes available. Begin considering whether or not this is a question that should go to town meeting this year. Confer with the select board and town manager about that. and see if that's something to pursue putting on the one.
Does the planning department have an opinion?
You know, I think there are some important tools here. Particularly allowing the town to create so-called attainable housing and to acquire restrictions and or, you know, to put subsidies in up to 250% of AMI. That's something we've talked about. I think the planning board, select board housing subcommittee talked about that, you know, when we use CPA and housing trust funds that are that can't go more than 100% AMI. That's an important demographic, but there's a lot of the local workforce that is still shut out of that. You know, there's people who can put down cash and afford $1 million home, and there's people who can maybe afford, you know, the 100% AMI is a $400,000, $500,000. But what happens in the middle? You know, and in the middle is where Great Barrington's market is the sales price. And so a 250% AMI household could potentially participate in that market more often. And that's important.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious too about what would happen to development in general. There would be more interest in developing at those numbers.
What is the expectation of communities passing a seasonal community designation when there aren't any regulations in place yet? Like, are the regulations imminently going to be available?
I think we released in January, they say, but.
Oh, it is
And
January.
most of the towns who were on the first list have already adopted it.
In Berkshire
Sort of sight
County,
unseen?
I don't believe any of them.
No,
Okay.
none in Berkshire County. But,
Cape
on the-
and Islands have.
Mhm.
I don't think any Berkshire County communities have put it to the town meeting yet, or maybe decided not to. I could be. So I think hopefully the regulations will help us discuss this more, provide the voters, you know, if we go to town meeting, provide voters with more information about what it means. And at the end of the day, then the votes on the zoning bylaws, of course, are up to the voters too. So if we don't, as a town, like those things, we could say no at that time as well.
I know Egremont, I don't know whether it was last night or tonight, they have a town meeting to vote on zoning bylaws. And at least part of them have to do with this. They're already introducing undersized lots, tiny homes, you know, other criteria that are in seasonal communities thing. So they're already preparing for that.
And lots of process.
Yeah. In what sense?
I mean, the review and the power that the planning board is gonna have there is really difficult to do any of those things. Egremont problem.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the text is in a minute, and that's what she told the BRPC the other day.
You're not getting completely up to speed on other communities, so.
Not totally.
So
I'm trying to stick to.
I did send the board, I think, a link to the material that is here tonight. The Massachusetts Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. If you just Google Massachusetts seasonal communities, that'll get you to their landing page. And you'll see what information I see, which isn't too much yet.
No, this is minutes of meetings, actually.
Yeah.
This is a presentation made to the commission meeting.
Hopefully more will come available and we can have a good discussion and see whether or not this is something to move to town meeting. We don't have any zoning specific items this year, but questions like this may be important to pursue.
So just in terms of following on, so Malcolm, in your role with BRPC, they haven't produced any sort of guide or anything yet either?
No, it's
Okay,
nothing to do.
yeah, nothing to comment on, right?
But there's a lot of, I mean, there are a lot of laws coming down the pipe that are going to influence local zoning and like the energy siting bill. So we're, you know, we might have a big year next year, just modifying zoning to conform to state laws. So there's a lot of that.
Okay, all right, great. Anything more on seasonal communities? Okay. Thank you very much. It's very interesting. All right, next item on our agenda, Sharon, did you want to give us some information on Ramsdale Library?
Sure, more directly for, Great Barrington Library Fund that I wanted to introduce.
Sure.
Do you want me to sit here?
You may, yeah, sure. If you want to grab that chair, if that's better for you.
Give you some handouts. Don't mind passing it. Well, as some of you know, I'm Sharon Gregory, founder and president of the Great Barrington Library Fund. And it's as a representative of the board of directors of this 501(c)(3) that I'm speaking today. The GBLF was created last year, so it's new, in the hope of receiving the MBLC grant, the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners, but it's a mouthful, so I'll just refer to it as an MBLC grant to renovate Ramsdale. This prestigious grant, offered only every 5 to 8 years, won the grant, and GBLF is focusing on mounting a capital campaign to raise money from private foundations and donors. So I'd like to quote from our letter to the CPC in support of Ramsdale. GBLF wholeheartedly supports the library trustees' approved design and the renovation of Ramsdale Library. We also support the CPC application for $1.5 million spread over 3 to 5 years. We consider the 1.5 million request as a reserve that will reduce the town's share of the renovation costs. Because the MBLC award is staged through a series of review phases, and because Great Barrington is currently #1 on the MBLC waitlist, it's difficult to predict the exact time that the project will move forward. However, our funds need to be sequestered in advance to avoid construction delays and cost increases. With a generous portion of the renovation costs covered by the MBLC, and with the aggregate combination of the CPC grant, hopefully, the GB Library Fund's efforts and other state grants such as the Mass Cultural Council, the Mass ADA grant, the town's financial obligations could be reduced to as little as 10 to 15% of the project costs. There's a precedent for a multi-year CPA grant of $500,000 financed by a 15-year CPA bond for Memorial Baseball Field given in 2023, as maybe granted in 2021. We envision a similar grant to Ramsdale, and if the project does not go forward, the money will be returned to the CPC as is done routinely with other grants. The attached map that I've sent around distributed was produced by GBLF and distributed to the town, especially Housatonic during the month of November. The hands represent 75 plus responders, and we're still getting more. It's on our website. And the comments we summarize below the map. So please go to the gblibraryfund.org to register more support. The town's 2013 master plan strongly supports Ramsdale's renovation. So why have there been so many unsuccessful attempts to renovate it since then? Please look at the timeline, and I'll develop this decided timeline as to all the happenings that occurred over the last 17 years. We hope that as stewards of the master plan, you'll consider taking a prominent role in advocating for the accomplishment of its goals by supporting the trustees' application for a generous grant. The MBLC grant is prestigious. Communities that get it and don't secure the proper funding cannot apply again. Let's not have this opportunity slip away. So thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
Now you have-
Why are we doing this tonight?
Sharon asked to just provide some information to us.
Okay, I'd like to make a statement about my opposition.
Okay.
I'm opposed to this project, for three reasons. First of all, let me say that I am a certified librarian and I support libraries and I support Ramsdale.
I didn't hear you. Though.
I'm a certified librarian in New Jersey and I support Ramsdale, but I don't support this project. Ramsdale isn't just a library, it's a town building. The Historical Commission has had archives and is archiving activity on this on the upper floor at Ramsdale for over 50 years. And we've learned that if this grant goes through, we'll be evicted with no home and no place to go. The Library Commission has acted as if this entire building is a library, and it's not. Upstairs is our space, the Historical Commission space. I'm opposed to this project because of the cost. Right now, we're asked to sign a blank check for the project. And I'm opposed to the use of a CPA as a backdoor to fund the town's portion of the project, where it should be subject to the discussions of the select board and the finance committee. I don't think the CPA should be the one making town policy, and I think that's what the library trustees are asking the CPA to do, is to make town policy.
Well, the CPA only makes a recommendation. It's the town meeting that makes.
But this is whether the this building, the use of this building should change from being a mixed use to just a library use. Is a town policy that's not within the purview of the CPA.
So wait, hold on. So this is information only.
Mhm.
Okay, so there's not a
No debate.
decision
I'm
being
just making
made.
my, I'm just
Understood.
making my statement because the statement was made to begin with, and I think that opened the door for me to make mine.
So just can you clarify, we're 100% sure that the Historic Commission's archives would have to leave?
And that's what Patrick Holmack told us, that the terms of this grant are that it can only be used as a library and we would be evicted.
Is an archive not library content?
And it seems to me that actually, if you look at the library, the state library rules, that town archives are part of the library, but not according to the people that are promoting this project.
If
We would be evicted.
if you were not to be, if the Historic Commission and the related archives were not to be evicted, would your opinion change?
Yeah,
Okay.
if actually it remained as a multi-use facility with the archives upstairs, in fact, if they went through with this project, the upstairs would be much more usable. Right now,
It needs to be
We
climate
spent-
controlled.
we
right?
spent
Yeah.
years organizing the all of the archives in archive level boxes, archive levels sleeves. We've taken each document, recorded it and cataloged it on the computer. We have an ongoing 2-year project right now upstairs in Ramsdale that's being funded by Houstonic Heritage to archive, to record and organize archives from the Historical Society that are also up.
Mhm.
All of these activities would be gone. I don't know what would happen to the archives.
But can you ask, who's decided that there's no room for the archives in Ramsdale? I mean,
Patrick Hollenbach came to an historical commission meeting and told us and asked us for our support after telling us we would be evicted.
well, is it
That's
possible?
what we've been told by other members of the library commission.
That I
The
didn't,
library commission, we've been told by others that we would also be evicted.
the state library commission.
No, this, our
Okay.
town.
Oh,
So I think there's a point of clarification that should be investigated, you
There's
know.
no point of clarification. We've been told we've been evicted.
I don't know that
Fact.
that's an authoritative source, though.
right.
It's a,
Sharon Shalou, the chairman, told me we were gonna be evicted. She said, you're getting the archives are gonna have to get out of the library.
I would love to find out from the state if that's in fact the case, so.
No, it's not.
Maybe we can ask for, although that's not the planning board's issue, but,
It is not
yeah.
planning board's issue.
I mean,
But I
it's a
think-
town issue, it seems to me. And it seems that the town and the select board should make a decision as to,
Whether to do the library project or not.
well, no, what.
No, they shouldn't make a decision on that.
so
No,
we're not gonna have a debate.
archives.
We're,
Where the funding is, whose jurisdiction it is and so forth. I mean, that's not something that I'm a spokesperson for. I'm only, speaking on behalf of Great Barrington and
understood, we'll keep everybody, so you've registered your opinion, you've shared the information. Does anybody have any other questions for Sharon?
Questions on that?
I really don't want to get into like a whole public debate on this.
Right. I mean, I do have, we created some, some facts.
So are the materials you're handing to us, are they available on the website?
Yes, the facts are, I'm trying to remember if the timeline for, the project failures, are on, the, support, the little hand support, is on and people can.
So just for people who are online, the information we're being provided tonight is on the website at gblibraryfund.org.
Right,
Okay.
and the organization, the board of directors, that are on the.
Just for my own information, the Great Barrington Library Fund, like what's your like, what was the purpose of forming the fund, just
Well,
generally?
It said, it was spurred by the need and the sad, history of being able to renovate, the library that was a gift to the town. Not being renovated in about a century.
Mhm.
And so one of the issues was funding and people, with the high school and everything else, we figured that we needed to tap into private foundations and donors, and there wasn't an easy vehicle there. And we thought that this would help.
Mhm.
But one of the reasons for the CPA, and the CPA gives money to many other organizations in town. Should we not be, a town owned organization that's on the National Register of Historic Property? Should that not be a candidate? And we said, it should be. It's a shame not to be. So we said, we need to support the library, both libraries, especially for capital campaigns. People asked, how about the Friends of the Library? Well, they told me that their mission does not include creating, supporting capital campaigns. It's more services. So we figured that it would fill a void and take some of the burden off the town financially and enable us to garner support from a broader source of funds.
Okay.
So Ramsdale was our first project because it is the most, in our opinion, neglected town property.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you sharing that. All right. Let's
Oh,
see.
and may I just say one other thing? On our facts, there's one number that probably is going to be changed. There's the measurement of the square footage relative to what is existing now. seems to be adjusted. It's all, so I just caution you that we didn't get the latest figure.
Okay,
Thank you.
good to know. Thank you very much.
Right, there's a hand.
Um. Not sure I want to open a information thing up to a big discussion and debate. I'll just encourage people to go to gblibraryfund.org.
We have public speak time.
They can, absolutely. All right, so next thing is board and subcommittee updates, issues and concerns. I'll start with Jeremy.
Sorry. So the CPA met the last 2 nights to start reviewing step 2 applications. And we have our third meeting scheduled for next week, Thursday, the 18th. And after that meeting, we have the next meeting is Tuesday, January, I think I have the date right, 13th. It's the Tuesday. And hopefully at that meeting that'll be the meeting where we'll discuss funding for the different applications.
Okay. Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah, and actually the library project is one of the ones that will review that application next week, Thursday.
Okay.
So if people
Great.
are interested.
Thank you. Pedro? Nothing? Jonathan? Malcolm? Okay, nothing for me either. All right, next item is citizen speak. I've got Frederica Siegel. She had her hand raised before, so give her an opportunity to talk. Go ahead, Frederica.
Hi, thank you very much. My name is Frederica Siegel. I'm at 27 Round Hill Road. I've been listening carefully to the discussion. I certainly understand the importance of the cost of the renovation. As far as eviction, every single book in the library is going to be evicted when the construction starts. The issue is that the grant that we got only covers the part of the library that is under the library's control. So if there are historical commission or archive materials that are not under the library control, that part of the library cannot be covered by the grant. And if they occupy the entire second floor, which was the most important space in the library, identified by the population during all of the community engagement, that everybody wanted the performance space, the public space, the community space, it really is it's a tough problem. So I'm not sure if the Historical Commission ever had any kind of paperwork with the library that identified it as a mixed use space. But the fact is that if we allow the Historical Commission to occupy the entire second floor, that cannot be covered by the grant. If the Historical Commission would like to raise money to create a space, possibly in the basement, that's climate controlled, that is under their control, that is certainly something that the Ramsdale Building Committee would be interested in entertaining. But this is not anything that is pointed at the Historical Commission. This is simply one of the conditions of the grant. So happy to explain.
No need, thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Go ahead.
Claudia Shapiro, 78 Argamont Plain Road for the record. I'm asking Pedro if you'll please email me the 9-page addendum that Sarah Parker from the Housatonic Committee Improvement sent you months ago, for starters. So, Claudia Shapiro, 78 Argamont Plain Road for the record. I read at the select board's December 1st meeting, following statement. I've been before this board many times voicing my concerns. I've been before prior select boards many times voicing my concerns. So I am voicing my concerns again, and I am asking this board and now town manager Liz, how the town hosted KGBR, Colossus Great Barrington Regional Airport, based on an approximate locus with security fencing, extended runway of 621 feet, and trees planted 1,000 feet from the end of the runway I own and maintain 200 feet off the end of, and the town Seacon Crossroad abutting the other end, is going to affect me, my property, my future, and how many airport expansion phases there are, said with an understanding of the imminent special permits 3-year statute of limitations to act upon in early 2026. A permitting process that included State Rep Lee Davis in her capacity as former Select Board Vice Chair. There's nothing irrational, unreasonable, or unfounded about me, my concerns, or fears having abutted a private airport, Berkshire Aviation Enterprise, for over 50 years, until the plaintiffs, Holly Hamer, attorney Mark Fastow, and wife Ann Fredericks, land court action filed in 2022, asking the court to multi-permit 2 airports, a Berkshire Holding Incorporated Flight School and a KGBR, Colossus Great Barrington Regional. An action that included my property, but not me, refusing to acknowledge me as owner. I read your statement, Liz, regarding your approach to leadership that is both strategic and deeply human. I clearly see the strategic side, and my concerns and fears are a golden opportunity to exercise your deeply human approach, and I am hopeful. Please don't misconstrue my unusual empathy, compassion, and passion and peaceful nature for anger, as that is not the case, something I'm extremely proud of and consider one of my blessings. But you can detect the shock, awe, and disbelief, compounded by extreme trauma intentionally inflicted upon me year in and year out due to my property and rights being key in the political establishment of a municipal airport, hazardous waste combustion facility, and a household hazardous waste collection center. I'm not okay with what has been and what is being done to me, molesting, raping, and pillaging me and my very special property. So again, point blank, what is your intention for me in 78 Egremont Plain Road? And I'm now asking this planning board, point blank, what is your intentions for me and my property?
Okay. Did you have a written statement you wanted to leave with us?
I'll send it to you in an email.
I'd
Brittany.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Michelle Rivera, 70 Division Street. I'm just thinking back on the presentation on the Ramsdale, and I agree with you, Brandy, there has to be some clarification going on. But I'm also a little bit sad because I love the Ramsdale Library. My mother grew up in Housatonic. She loved the Ramsdale Library. And we have 2 entities, our libraries and our historical. I'm just thinking about this little kid or whatever is doing a report at the Ramsdale for school or something. And it could be local history and doesn't have access to all the wonderful information that's up there. I've been up there, I've seen it with Gary Levier and that sort of thing. It just would seem to me, it's almost counterintuitive to me that they're very much related. I understand with regard to, in order to do the project, somebody has to be in control of whatever. But there's part of me saying there's got to be some way around it, a partnership with, it just seems counterintuitive to me to have a library that's separate and apart from the history that makes our community. And so if I'll call the state and go, this doesn't make any sense at all. I'll just picture this little kid at the table writing a report on Housatonic, say, and there's some materials downstairs, and right above his head.
The whole Don Victor picture collection is upstairs.
Well, they're huge amount of information.
Well, you gotta
So I'm not understanding how the 2 of them are separate and apart. They're not, other than 2 different boards are in control, but it would be really wonderful if some sort of partnership, rather work together rather than apart. Also, I'm a taxpayer who believes in getting bang for the buck. So I love multi-purpose and multi-use of things, and that maximizes the taxpayer's investment in something. So I just really hope that maybe somebody on either the library trustees or your board or whatever can reach out and get a little more clarification on this. Cause it just doesn't seem right to me.
It doesn't make sense to
It's me, actually.
Agreed. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Valerie Loker.
Yeah.
231 North Plain Road. That horrendous corner.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one.
I've been through it many times.
And I came tonight because I was interested in this project that just kind of blew into my consciousness about the solar project that they want to put on Van Duzenville Road. And I guess this is a plea. It feels, I bought my property in 1986. A lot has changed, and I understand that it's going to continue to change. But I feel as if Housatonic is kind of the dumping ground for Great Barrington. And I don't know who's going to stop it if it's not the planning board. So I would just ask you to really look very, very critically at this project that started when a person outside of the community bought land for investment, is trying to capitalize on the investment that can impact so widely the people that live there, that don't have any way to stop it. Because in this country, if you own the land, you can do pretty much what you want to do with it. So I'm just asking you all to look very, very critically at this. I would ask you not to support it. And to, as we go forward, the zoning is going to have to change. Because if a special permit is allowed to continue to trash a neighborhood, Van Duzenville Road has been trashed since I purchased my property. And I am being impacted by some of that poor decision-making on the town, whatever boards allowed it to continue. So I'm sorry if this is not the appropriate forum.
No, it's fine.
But I'm just saying that I pay a whopping amount of taxes to live where I live. And I love it because there's open space all around me. My backyard is really all I need. But I think the impacts of this kind of development and what is very, very fragile community and land. We don't need an out-of-state company coming in to try and pave it over. And I've got solar panels on my barn roof, so I'm all for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question, please?
It's not a Q&A, but you can certainly ask the question.
So Randy, you asked me if I had a statement. Why did you ask me that question? You know, if I had a written statement of what I just got up and said.
Very often you have copies that you'll leave with us. So I was just, if you had it for us, it would help us ensure accuracy and making sure we're quoting you correctly, Claudia. All right.
Well, yes. You could do what I am forced to do, listen to my statement, take the time and listen to it on the video, but I'll think about it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything else? All right, hearing no other comments, we'll adjourn at 7:53. Thanks.